Hello, this is our group's entry into the Ivory Innovations Hack-A-House competition in the Policy and Regulatory Reform category, the Housing Innovations Pilot Program.
The location we picked is Salt Lake City, and obviously the reason we're here is housing is getting more and more expensive. In Salt Lake City, just under 60% of households are cost burdened. And as you can see, this house was built in 1900, and there really hasn't been a lot of innovation in the materials and the way that it's built. In communication and transportation, over the last 120 years, those have changed dramatically, but housing has not. So one of the major, the largest component of cost increases is materials. And as we spend, the COVID pandemic has changed the way we spend time in our homes. We work in our homes. It's doubled or tripled the amount of time we spend in our homes. And so innovation needs to happen in the materials that we use to make our homes safer and healthier.
Affordability is also particularly heartfelt issue in the communities of color of Salt Lake City, according to the Salt Lake City Housing Plan. So our idea to make housing more affordable is to create a pilot program to allow materials and construction innovation that's currently not permitted through the traditional permitting process. So this idea stems from tactical urbanism, which is a concept in the transportation world of these temporary installations on our streets to see if they work in a particular context, what people think of them, do they make streets safer and more connected? Obviously, housing is not a temporary like paint on asphalt is, but through allowing a limited number of these innovative projects through this pilot program, we can really test these new ideas in the Salt Lake City context and allow these new ideas to have proof of concept. And instead of going through the traditional regulatory framework, they would be sent through their own pipeline that goes through a group of licensed professionals to provide their professional judgment and approval in the application process.
The process for these potential projects would need to meet certain criteria in order to receive incentives and approval. Alternative construction projects would need to potentially bring down final home prices within 30% of AMI, have proof that concept is feasible, and comply with existing local zoning. These projects would then be submitted to a city review board to verify the validity and to add the necessary amendments to the residential code to allow these alternative methods to be used in construction. And the goals of our pilot program would be to create a space where innovation can be actualized and implemented while making housing more affordable, and ultimately updating or amending residential code to improve affordable housing.
We've put together a toolkit to offset costs from research and development because we realize developers have some risk aversion to innovation. This project must have an expedited review and approval process to be appealing. And we think that we can help accomplish this by annually limiting the number of projects approved. The incentives toolbox should attract some of the brightest minds and innovations to the Salt Lake City area. Next slide. Some of the implementation barriers to this pilot program include financial incentives, liability, and permitting. We think that this project, however, will attract innovators and developers if there's sufficient motivation via financial incentives to use non-conventional materials and designs. Also, the municipality in question, developers and builders, will be willing to take innovation risks if they consider manageable the liability for the materials and design used. And again, a timely and acceptable permitting process will inspire developers and builders to mostly focus on quality craftsmanship and using innovative materials and design. Many developers attribute rising costs to the lengthy and cumbersome permitting process. So again, our proposal is to encourage research and development and win public approval. Overnight, we won't solve Salt Lake City or any other places housing affordability woes, but we're looking to gain the confidence and approval of would-be homebuyers, government bodies, lenders, and so forth. This concludes our presentation.